Okay, I guess so now what you're seeing is just the warm-up section of my recording. So I basically filmed the entire time I'm at a section of a wall, and I'll just try to skip through and look out for notable times where I felt um not the best or I learned something. Okay, I have no clue what I'm brushing now. Oh, it's a grade 4. So this gym, it has grades 1 to 6. And in like to me, from at least grade 3 onwards, it gets pretty ridiculously hard. uh, I haven't tried any 5s or 6s yet, which I should. I was just busy understanding the whole gym, as this is my second session. Okay, let's skip through the warm-up. Okay, yeah, so now I think I'm brushing the first 3 that we have. So it's basically a route that goes, um, I think it starts here or something, and then to the right, and it ends here. So the gym here is different in the sense that in Singapore we don't have such top outs at the edge of the wall. Yeah, so first route is kind of slabby, a lot of leaning towards the side and reaching out with your feet. Oh, and the volumes that my left hand is holding right now, um, these are not actually volumes, they are like part of the wall. So it's actually the same texture as the wall, which is just smooth, basically. And since it's a wall, you're allowed to use it. I think I hop back down to another 2. So just for reference, this is what a 2 looks like. And between 2 and 3s, the difference is quite stark. It's quite a big jump already. So I've been to this wall in my last session, and there's basically about I could show you. Yeah, so this is the section of the wall that I'm climbing at, and the flag means I've done it. And basically, both the grade 4s I haven't finished, and let me show you why. So what I'm pulling on now is indeed the grade 4, the brown one. So it's pretty hard to see, but basically it's a fully circular no text hold, and just a chip of it is textured and indented. But some of them, for example, this one on the right and this one on the left, you could fit 4 fingers, barely, but the one here, you could fit about two, and that's a really huge difference. This is the second attempt, and I had plenty of attempts on this route. So this is when I kind of understood how to come in with my right hand to the right hole, because everything's really bad, so you can't really compensate um with any point of contact that you have. Like none of it is, for example, a jug or good enough such that you can make up for my lack of technique. So I was saying that I kind of learned how the second move goes about. And what I mean is, I gotta keep my weight on the right and crank hard with my left. In this case, I didn't, like I rushed it. And the rest of the 5 minutes were like attempts on this. So I thought about going for the next foothold first, but it was too high. And the handles are way too bad. I wonder if I took a picture. Yeah, I did. So this is how the handhold looks like for the left hand. Pretty small. And this is what I was stepping on. So as I said, circular, no texture. And when I put my foot on and try to have some pressure on my feet, it was really hard to feel anything. There were some climbs where that I tried later on that was even tinier, but this was about there already in terms of difficulty. Okay, anyway, this is probably like my fifth attempt. And over here, I managed to get nearer to the hole. But because the feet is so bad and the hands are so bad, I had to. My right hand was a 2 finger crimp with the thumb. So, like a 2 finger full crimp. And I had to apply the force that can bring me into the wall with that amount of friction. So I think I took a break and came back to give it more tries. So it's really deceiving because the wall is ridiculously short, right? As seen on the camera. But at the same time, it's ridiculously hard. So the first three moves, they got they got better, felt more stable on it. But yeah, it was so much pressure on just the fingertips. Uh, and every attempt was quite draining. And long story short, I did not finish this. So as you see on the log that I have, it was these two grade 4s that I didn't complete. So the other grade 4 is yellow in color, yellow tag. And it's a sit start. So it's like over here. Anyway, we'll move on to the next section of the wall. So this next section, I managed to complete way more, except 45. And the wall looks like this. Yep. So I looked for, this is a grade 3. And I thought, why not give it a shot? So it's quite hard to see, but the hand, it's a weird hole. It's basically dishes with a panel sticking out, and you're supposed to grip onto that. This is my second attempt, so there are plenty seed starts here, and it's quite important as to how you sit in the beginning. As you can see, if I wasn't at least close to the optimal position, I was over cranking and um, came off from the barn door. So for this move, you gotta lock really hard on your left. It's a mini pinch. And this is just a grade 3, but it's teaching me a lot of things. So since the right foothold is quite bad, it's not that simple as that I can twist my right foot, because the optimal position would be that my feet is perpendicular to the wall and my weight is fully stepping in, pushing back into the wall. So I found that coming back down with my left foot helps me to adjust my right to be more straight. And in this attempt, I went in this manner, whereby whereby I matched my right hand, and that normally works fine if the hole was a jug. Um, that's why I like learning from today. I found that the uneven height handholds, they help me to get to the next. So I will test it a bit more, even on jugs as well. Like why coming in with to match on the right hand is not optimal. But for this route, it's pretty clear because it makes me go into a more extended position on the right, on a on this angle of a foothold, which makes you really lay back to the right. And the more right you go, the harder it is to bring yourself back to the left. So in this case, matching wasn't the best choice. Yeah. So I took a pause because my fingers were hurting too much. The blades are really small, these blades. So instead, I hopped on a grade 4. So the pink tape. It's also a seat start. I'm not doing it for show. Like they have the signs where they indicate where you have to sit start, and it does add like 3 or 4 moves just because it's a sit start, and it tires you out. So as I mentioned, the wall is no text on my left, and that makes everything just psychologically and actually harder. And it ends here. So in this attempt, I was just dangling my left leg and jumped kind of away from the wall, and that's what caused me um, to not be able to compensate with my right hand. Even though I latched it, it is still a smooth no text sloper on the top. It's not the worst sloper, but it's still angled downwards slightly, like something like this. And basically, the friction has to be made by pressing it down harder on the wall. But now I felt more confident, and this is my second attempt. So notice here that I dropped down a little bit. Like as the person climbing it, you'll feel a lot more. But because you lock in back your entire body, you're able to move your feet. And the ending was just a more confident inward jump. Because the angle of this volume is textured, but there's really not much to it. So it's about your thrust on the right foot rubber and to ensure that your feet is as perpendicular to the wall as possible. So because my fingers still weren't ready, I hopped on another grade 4. So the holes I'm holding on to now, they are actual rocks taken from outside, and they actually bolted in. So it was nice and rough at the same time, like a bit too rough because I'm just used to plastic. But yeah, that's the benefit of climbing here. You get more used to the texture. So basically, you will need to jump to this hold, and it ends there. But in reality, it's really hard because of the position of the footholds that they give you. When you're trying to dyno, in this case I got it, when the upper foot that you're pushing off is high and higher than your hips, that's what makes it hard. Because you can only apply pressure at a later time. So over here, it's almost at the height of my hips. And that means I need to rock over and then have my push on my left foot. If I push too early, I'm pushing myself back to the right. And that's what makes the high foot dynos harder. And that's why people who doesn't care about their life more, like able to take more risks, are able to learn this move and gain more confidence. So after bagging these two great fours, I think I went back to the tree. Yep. So it's a very subtle thing, but the handholds are really bad, and you begin to not really think so much. But with every attempt, you should pick out something that really helps you. So in this case, I got my left foot, and after stepping on the right, it was so important to shoot out my left foot, uh, and smear, and find the best smearing spot as soon as possible because it's painful on the toes. And twisting to the left, such that um my left arm is not so much like a chicken wing, because the more uneven the section of your wrist is at, like the most easiest way of the power transfer would be a straight arm, and that's how you bring the power to the fingertips. And whenever you have more of an angle, you're using you're pushing the power through the muscles. So I would have to apply force upwards and inwards at the same time, rather than a fully extended, um, simple, like the power flows through to the fingertips on its own because it's straight. So in this case, I didn't adjust my right foot again. I wanted to attempt a faster, left foot. But the thing is, it's really high, so I felt like I really had to adjust my right foot. At this point, I caught it, and you see why I keep. Whenever I pause, I feel that. Whenever I pause, I feel that I only pause when it's a key moment. So here, it's not a comfortable position at all, but it's so important to let go of your right foot. Because it sounds not very intuitive, but in order to find the perfect uh, position to load your hands, it is kind of when you release your feet. If you think about it, at any angle of the hole, any angle and any hole type that you get, without the feet and you just dangling there, gravity will tell you what is, like, where your center of gravity is. And by releasing the right foot, I'm no longer having to oppose force with my feet, but rather hold my entire body weight and shift it onto my left foot. And that is the uncomfortable part. And that's how with more climbing, the right foot will flag more correctly. Yeah, so around this point, it was when I knew things would click in the end. So I gave it, I was like hell bent on finishing this route, even though it took me a couple more tries. So this one was pretty close. The problem here was because of my height, you can see that my feet popped, and that's like I'm one of the shorter climbers as well. So I find it really important to understand my maximum reach, and it's not just like how the YouTubers put it, whereby they say this statement and then um they don't elaborate further, right? Like what I really find helpful for me is that I need to find problems that get me this stretched out and get used to the feeling of not letting go, if you catch me. Because the height thing is a nuance of climbing, right? Just like how frisbee has its own like self-governing rule and gray areas. In the same sense, in climbing, everyone has a different body type, and a lot of people complain about being short, but I just it doesn't make sense. It's a problem that will never go away. Like the discrepancies between each body type and the pros and cons, this will never go away. And I feel like knowing is enough and understanding what applies, like which category you fall in. Like category is not enough. You still need to know exactly what you are and your limits and your familiarity with your limits in terms of reach is the most important. Like there's no point commenting or complaining or whining about every other body type. Yeah, so we should just look at the foot pop a little bit more closely. This part about locking. So it's a dish, and you gotta lock really hard. So the foot popped around here, and that was my key thing to note for the next attempt. For my sand goal, I mean. Which might be this, I don't know. So once again, smearing on the left, adjusting. This is not the one. This should be the one. In this case, I chose to. I dug in so hard with my left that it didn't come out to smear, and I just went with it. But I guarantee you both ways works. I think I just wanted it more in this attempt. So another very subtle thing is, when do you start moving more than one muscle? Because the efficient way is, of course, to move really flowy, right? But in climbs like this, if you notice, like just for this half a second, I'm isolating this move and bringing my weight over to the left. And the left hand, everything else doesn't move but the left hand. After some careful feet, get the right, and this is when you think the right foot cannot pop. So the angle of the foot is really important. The heel has to be this is the limit. Like it can go even slightly left, and all this matters. It allows you to apply opposing force inward and keep you in. And this was a 3, so yeah. Um, like you notice, I did 1 4 here, 1 4 here, and the 3 here was, in my opinion, it was harder, and it's also a style that I'm not really good at. Okay, another wall. So over here is a 3 again. And this is the sequence. They gave a really high left starting foot. And you notice in this attempt, I need to reach out here, right? And when I felt the hole, I felt absolutely nothing. Give it a good brush. So at this point I was thinking, because my left knee was really flush to the wall on the left, and it was limiting my reach. So in this attempt, I think I've already figured out that I need to bring my knee across the wall to the right. And as with many other routes that, or many other hills that I've done before, the next most logical thing would be to change this hill that just popped into a step. And that can be achieved by either the handholds are good enough such that you can hold your entire body weight and shift your right feet, or you can load back on the left foot and shift your right feet. So I tried that many times. You can see I'm trying to load. Oh, this is my sand goal, but I think I tried it 2 more times in between. Okay, long story short, the route was set such that it's just either really hard or not recommended to turn into a step. So in this attempt, I kept with the hill, which looks really sketchy. And the left toe really helps to lock you in. Standing on the hill feels really awkward, but it does happen in places and in um, competition climbs that you watch. So it's like overcoming that fear barrier. It's still there for me, but definitely during my future warm-ups, before I go above 3, I'll use this 3 to kind of revise what that feeling is like and trust the hill. Like this is pure up there for trusting the hill. So this is another tree. It starts here, and I was trying to establish for a really long time. I was trying to find some rubber, toe rubber here. And I was trying to match, but coming in this way and the other way, it was just pushing me off the wall way too much. I gave it so many attempts and so much time, but this is a tree and I couldn't establish at all. I tried it all the way until about here, and I looked for, because sometimes higher grades are easier to do. I looked for a grade 4, and it is a grade 4 white that starts here. You can see the double tape, and this was really attractive for me because in many competition series, like training and competition, you'll see them starting like this, and it's really just no foot jib, stepping on volumes, and it was a good practice for me today. In short, I didn't get up at all. I have another video on it. I basically didn't progress much, but I did progress much. But I did progress in terms of how I feel on such an age. So you see here, there are more unique attempts. So I found that the most comfortable position was a low right with as much rubber, and the left foot on the extreme edge where there is a little bit of a gap. It's just a micro gap. Another thing I found out was that the right foot, instead of just the toe, the toe is good for establishing, but having absolutely full rubber on the right foot, it kept me quite comfortably stable. It's just the movements are so intricate and I keep falling off. Over here, after establishing, I try to go high with my left foot, and I discovered that when my right foot rubber is also fully pressured on such an angle, it's quite ankle intensive, but I finally felt like, oh, I can stay for maybe up to a minute here. So I'm aware that I'm not making progress in terms of moves, but now I have felt how stepping at an awkward angle with full feet, which is not what we are used to because we always step on our toes, right? I felt how it feels like, my endurance for it, like how long can I sustain and how many attempts can I give. Like all these are learnings. And also the body positioning and how your left foot feels in such an angle. So I found that my left foot should just step at the very edge. So my future attempts got better and better, whereby the establishing and getting my hand on this volume or this volume got better. Oh, the end is just here, by the way, but it's just so ridiculously hard to balance. So this was quite a stable attempt for me, but there is just no jeep. So I need to, in future sessions, future slab sessions, I have to find out how I can weight my body such that my hands have friction. And these are not volumes, by the way. This one is textured, and this is part of the wall, so it's no text volumes. So after trying a few more times, I gave up. I moved on to this grade 4, and I made really good progress. The creams are really nothing that you feel in Singapore. They mimic the texture of actual rock here, and they are sharp. These ones are really sharp. So if I show you, it's really thin, and it's not just, it's plastic. It is plastic, but it's not the typical plastic texture, the artificial texture that you have. It feels like rock. This is the left hand hole, slightly thicker. It was good, not too bad. It was like half a pad. Half of your first pad, which is pretty good already, because the starting hand hole, it was almost a quarter pad. And this is the angle of what I was stepping on. So over here, I give it another good attempt. Okay, not this, but I caught it over here. So the thing you saw just now, is, it was really hard to feel anything. Like, it feels so thin that I have no idea what I'm stepping on. I just know that there is a small edge for me. And this cream that I'm holding on to is also tiny. Yeah. So I can't, my height doesn't allow me to just reach out for this. And I felt that it was too dangerous to pop off from this and hit everything else. So I decided to find a beta another time. But yeah, as I said, the climbs here are just not very eye-catching and what we are used to on Instagram and YouTube. But it's so demanding, and that is what attracts me to the gym. Like, this is what it takes to be comfortable on hard climbs, on cranking hard. And it's a lot of what we do not train anymore because of the modern climbs in our gyms. Okay, my disk space is running full, so I gotta stop here. And my future videos, I try to put more structure to it. And it's also, I'm just so not used to this format. Okay, bye guys.